Riot's take on a tactical first-person shooter has sent some ripples throughout the gaming community and some very strong opinions. I played the game since day one of the closed beta, and I think it's time to talk about it now that it's been out a little bit of the official release. So, this is an unbiased, no bullshit review of Valorant. Is it worth your money? Or even more so, is it worth your time? Hello beautiful and lovely gamers, my name is Jonal. Before we start the video, a like on the video logically does help a lot and is very much appreciated against YouTube's algorithm. I know I haven't uploaded for about a week. I'm moving, I am applying for jobs, finished my bachelor stuff. So all of that stuff is going on right now, so I'm in the middle of everything. That's why there haven't been any videos, and YouTube will most likely punish this video accordingly. So a like on the video is very much appreciated. If you like Valorant and this type of content, so just subscribe to the channel, turn on bell notification, and down in the comment section, let's help each other out. Drop your rating of Valorant from a scale from 1 to 10, and tell people if you recommend or if you don't recommend this game to them. So we can hopefully get some nuances and some form of community feedback on this type of stuff. And personally, if you can, I would very much appreciate getting feedback on this kind of review series. I'm working on becoming better at reviewing games and structuring it, but I do need help. Feedback from other people is very much appreciated. So if you have criticism to how this game review could have been better or what you didn't like about it, please in the comment section drop your criticism down there so I can hopefully work and improve these type of reviews for future games. Now, with no further ado, let's talk about the game, and let's start with monetization. This is a make it or break it from some players. Valorant is free to play, meaning logically there will be cosmetic items that you can buy with in-game currency. Well, sorry, that's wrong. You can swipe your card to unlock an in-game currency that you can buy the skins with. Logically, in true free-to-play fashion, you will never get just enough to buy the exact skin you want. You will always have a little bit left, so you spend more money. That's just how they do these type of in-game purchases now. It's a marketing trick. But what are the prices? If you want to invest in a high-end skin bundle, for example, the Prime Collection, which I bought, you will get 5 high-quality skins that looks really dope and have some additional features, which I'll talk about later. 4 of these guns, well, 4 of the skins will be guns, and 1 of them will be a skin to a melee weapon. This bundle, which is a really good-looking bundle for very competitive skins that very competitive guns that you will use a lot, costs you about 70 euros. If you want to buy a separate knife skin or a separate melee weapon skin, it comes to about 20 euros for that. And that's approximately the prices. And again, it's a free-to-play game. It's high-quality skins. I don't mind. Additionally, you can logically buy to unlock agents. But what I want to talk about is the other type of currency. So again, there's Valorant points, which you use to buy skins and unlock agents a little bit faster and whatnot. But on top of that, you also have something called Radiant points. Now, Radiant points is used to upgrade your skins. So for example, and again, you can't do this to all skins, but for example, in the Prime Collection, you can take any of your guns, for example, the Vandal, which is a very competitive assault rifle, and you can add a visual effect so it looks like it's shooting lasers. You can add a new cool reload animation. You can add like a death animation, so if you kill the last player with this gun, a cool like wolf head will spawn and like a cool like death animation will play, which just looks badass. And you can unlock, I do believe it's 3 different chromas or colored versions of this skin if you spend Radiant points. And the way to unlock Radiant points is 1, play the game. If you buy, especially if you buy the season pass or whatever you want to call it, you do unlock like 10 Radiant points, or you unlock a small amount when you go through each tier or each kind of section of the battle pass. And if you don't feel that you have enough Radiant points, you can swipe your card, and these are super fucking expensive. And the issue is that if you want to unlock, especially all the features for all your different skins, and you generally just want to have those cool animation, the death animation, maybe you want a chroma or 2 for some of the guns, and you want these for all the skins that you have paid 70 euros for, and you don't have time to just grind the game, which also is in the end a hard limit to how many radiant points you can get each kind of season of Valorant, you will have to pay money for it. And that's what's, in my opinion, infuriating, because it's a way to say, hey, if you don't have time to play the game a lot, or if you have, maybe you want to support the game and you buy a bunch of skins and you want to actually have the additional animation and visual effects and death animation and so on to your skin that you have paid a lot of money for, you either grind hard and you spend time that you might not have, or you swipe your card once more. And again, these radiant points are super expensive to unlock these additional animation, and I don't like that. And I think that that's something that's important to highlight to you, the consumer, that might want to spend money in this game, to look if that is, if you have the time, and if that is something that you want to invest in when it comes to it. So now at least you know beforehand. Now you can also, again, buy agents by unlocking, or you can just play the game and unlock the agents. And they unlock at a decent speed. You activate a contract, it's a little bit slow. It is to make you actually buy and invest in the agents. It's exactly as you expected, but mainly, there is no way of buying this, at least currently, for an in-game currency. There's no free in-game currency like there would be in a game like League of Legends. You activate a contract and you play through that contract, and when you do so, you in the end will unlock the agent. If you keep the contract activated on an agent that you already unlocked, you will start unlocking special rewards for playing this agent and gaining EXP on them. Essentially, you get, for examples of like cool pistol skins, which is agent specific. So the only way to get this is by playing and hitting a certain level on that agent that you have, which is a pretty cool thing. And generally, and this is a thumbs up, there are ways to unlock relatively good looking skins without having to break the bank. Generally, you can buy the season pass, which can actually give you some of the cool skins in the game, not for free, but for a relatively reduced price for just playing the game, which is at least something that you have to think about when it comes to this monetization system. Again, you don't have to buy any skins. The agents can also be unlocked for free at a decent rate by just playing the game and having fun. And I think it's fine that you don't start with all of them, because there's so much that you need to learn about different agents, how they play. So unlocking them at a slower rate, even though I think it's a little bit slow, but unlocking them at a slower rate is a way of running their business model. Now let's talk about graphics. Valorant's graphics are designed very specifically to be looking really good, be minimalistic, and being optimized. Let's start with the first one. The game looks dope. The animations are clean, the skins look dope, the character models are nice. Generally, this game just looks really fucking good. I like the art style, but it is also well optimized and has a relatively low entry barrier hardware-wise. You can play this game. You don't need like an insane $25 million gaming PC to play this game. You can get a relatively decent gaming computer and play this with good frames. I've never had a single frame or FPS issue, even when a lot of animation and a lot of stuff is going off. And I played this on very high graphics, and I could probably lower it to be even more optimized. And generally, even though this art style looks really good and it's really like AAA production in the way that the maps are designed, the weapons, the animations, it doesn't take away from gameplay, which is very important. For something that is a competitive and tactical first-person shooter, the visuals, there's not like any particle effects that blocks vision or disturbs stuff. It's relatively clean. Characters pop very naturally out from a lot of the background, and generally it's really nice to see that they have designed a game that looks good, runs smoothly, and at the same time the visuals doesn't handicap the performance and the gameplay. And that is a really good way of describing this game. Gameplay in mind. They always focus on the fact that when it comes to audio design and graphic design and the way that stuff is being played, that the gameplay still is in focus. The game should look good and it should sound good without handicapping the game's performance and the player itself. You shouldn't feel like you died because there was a visual effect or a wall was poorly lit because it looks cooler and you couldn't see your target. That shouldn't be why you felt like you lost a gunfight. You should feel you lost a gunfight because either one, Raze ulted you and she's a piece of shit, or two, you just lost because the enemy is obviously hacking, right? You don't lose gunfights, of course. He's obviously hacking, but That is the emphasis of Riot. And that, as I said, is also carried over to the audio. It's very pinpoint, especially compared to the beta, and it just sounds good. Guns are beefy and raw, and just really emphasizes how it feels to shoot these games. The silencers, even those with silencers, feel like you're shooting some pretty heavy guns, and it just is satisfying to fire them, and even more satisfying to get kills. The audio also brings a lot of important information. What guns do they have? Where are those guns? What abilities are being used? Are they reloading? And even stuff like the small details of whose footstep am I hearing? Is this a jet? Is this a brimstone? You can hear somewhat who it is. And because of how they have designed the maps, a lot of time you can also know very precisely where they are from what material they're running on. If they're running on metal, you sometimes know, okay, they're on vents or they're over here. If they're running on wood or sand, you know exactly, okay, they're outside here or they're on the stone bricks, so they're a little bit further down. So the audio design is so important and so very well designed because it sounds nice, it's high quality, but it also, once again, emphasizes the gameplay, which again is one core concept that you see over and over when it comes to a game like this. Let's talk about gameplay. Valorant, in the end, is a tactical, competitive, first-person shooter. You will be holding and clearing angles, controlling spray patterns, and generally playing games that is a game that is very similar to something like Counter-Strike. If you don't like that kind of game that's very emphasis and very focused on shooting, recoil control, holding angles, clearing corners, and playing tactical and slow, you might not like this game. And this game might just not be anything for you. However, what I have to say about the game is that it's incredibly accessible, and it does bring some well-needed variation and ease of use into the tactical, competitive first-person shooter genre. Especially if you compare it to stuff like Counter-Strike, which is, again, the king of this genre and has been the king for a very long time. The game is mixed up with agents. So essentially, you will drop into the map and you'll be playing the game. Normal game mode is essentially there's an attacker and a defensive team. First team to 13 points wins. You get a point if, as a defending team, you either kill the offensive team or make sure that they can't plant the bomb within a certain time frame. As the offensive team, you win the game or win a round and get a point by by killing everybody on the defensive team or planting the bomb and making sure that it detonates within a given time frame. And that is the entire premise of the game. You have an agent in the beginning and you will lock this agent, and which agent you lock on which map and if you're playing offensively or defensive round really changes up how you play the game. Some agents have access to mobility, so you can take high grounds and different angles that is unreachable by other agents. Some agents have a lot of smoke, so you can block off line of sight, making it easier for you to push or slow down a push from the enemy team. Some has a lot of flashbangs or stuns, so you can easily or clear a side or peek a corner or rush in, making sure they can't shoot you because they can't see you. And some bring utility in form of hard or soft area denial by launching fire or acid vials into different areas, so if you stand there you take a lot of damage and will die, forcing the enemy team not to play there. All of this and which agent you're doing and which map you're playing on and against what team and with what team really does add some well-needed variation to this game design, while still FPS mechanics are in the focus. You still need to be good at shooting and good at rifling to be able to perform and win a lot of matches and carry. Without having good aim and knowing how to land headshots and so on, you will struggle in this game, and in the end, you will need to be a guy that likes FPS games. You need to be a person that likes hardcore shooters. If you don't like that, then the selection from the agents are not going to be enough to sway you, as it's very much designed so the agent and the agent's abilities complements and supports the gunplay, not opposite. It's not the gunplay supporting the agent and its abilities. There's a bunch of stuff in general that has made this game just so much more accessible outside of stuff as we talked about, the graphics, it's much more easier to drop logical smokes and abilities because of the way that it's been done comparatively to games, again, like Counter-Strike. You don't need to look at the left screw of a vent and bounce your smoke of a skyblock to land it correctly. Your agent's abilities are far easier to deploy correctly. However, there still is a high skill ceiling for a lot of abilities to use them effectively and creatively. And that kind of mix up where it's easy to get into, so the skill floor of entry of doing good with your utility is very low, but the skill ceiling is still relatively high for a lot of them, really kind of gives a balance between being very, very hardcore and being easy to enter as a new player. On top of that, your economy in the game, which is a major part of it, is much easier. It shows the amount of money the enemy team will have at each round, and it will show you how much money you have, plus how much money you will have the next round. So you do know, okay, if I need so and so much money, then I can just check my minimum, and I can see how much money will I have if I buy these different weapons or this different utility, and make an economic decision if you want to invest or if you don't want to, and maybe save or maybe just buy a little bit and make sure you stay within that threshold without having to have a fucking Excel spreadsheet on your different monitor monitoring all of this. On top of that, there's in my opinion, a very meaningful gun selection. Most guns, if not all of them, have some form of competitive use and have some form of strengths and weaknesses that make them viable. Some guns are more viable or more quote-unquote meta or better than other guns, but every single gun that I have seen has been used in some sense of form. For different scenarios, depending on how your economy is, what the enemy team economy is, where you're playing, what map, what agent, does the different guns are more used. Comparatively, if you think about a game like Counter-Strike, guns like the Dualies or the Dual Berettas and the PP Bison are known to be really shitty guns that you normally never invest in. Not in Valorant, however. Most guns seem to have some form of use, or they are not going to be added to the leaderboard. And the fact that again, just helps with the fact that if you're a new player, you won't be buying the trash gun or the gun that's absolutely garbage. You will quickly get an introduction to which guns are good, which guns are bad, and then you can play around with them accordingly. And because they are so different in their design and so logical in how they are set up and built, it actually gives a very, very ease of understanding it, which gun are good at what scenarios, without having, again, to go onto YouTube and look at guides. It is very intuitive which gun does what and how they are operating and which scenarios they're good at if you play the game for some, like a couple of rounds, or for like, let's say you play it for a couple of days, you will start getting a much more easily understanding of the gun selection than other games. In the end, this game is FPS focused, and that's the core of it. Clearing corners and playing the slow, methodical game is satisfying when you can pull it off, and infuriating when you fail. There's nothing more infuriating than dying over and over again, not landing a kill, missing shots, because you get deleted incredibly fast. And that's the thing that is with this game. The fact that it is that infuriating will turn off a lot of people. It's free, so you can always play and just uninstall it, but that's something to remember. This game can be infuriating if you're not performing well in it, because of the speed of which it goes. When you die, you're out for that round, so that's a whole downtime of you having to watch your teammates play the game. And on top of that, you normally die so fast that it sometimes feels like you couldn't stop it. You just lost a duel, you get headshotted, or you get hit by an op and get one-shotted, and that's the end of that round for you, which can be infuriating at times. And therefore, again, if you're going to play this game, I recommend that you are a person that like FPS mechanics, and that you are a person that think that shooting and performing on a mechanical level and learning on a mechanical level is incredibly fun. If not, then you should maybe steer clear of this. In the end, when we're talking about content, this game is currently lacking game modes. There's no team deathmatch, which in my opinion is something that needs to be added ASAP. So people can practice their mechanics, so people can easily continuously practice taking gunfights outside of something like the practice range. There's also currently no implementation of ranked, which would be coming soon. So that is not something that you should be too nervous about. As we know that they have a rank mode that is working, they're just waiting to implement it, and it's probably coming any day soon. So when you're watching this video, it's most likely already been implemented. If it has been, drop down the comment section that it has been implemented for me. But generally, it's still lack of content. There's only the default, absolutely standard mode, something called Spike Rush, which essentially is the normal game mode, just with some additional kind of hoops with some fun abilities being added to it. And then there is custom games where you can set up stuff like scrim lobbies and whatnot and practice different maps if you feel like it. The future of this game is very much built on patches. I think that Riot, and the thing that I've seen from the start of the beta to the end of the beta, and also now on full release, is very much investing in this game. And I think that it will be evolving and blossoming very, very prosperatively for a very long time. If you're interested in this game, I recommend that you take your time to sit down and try it out. It's a really great game. And my personal rating, right now, drop yours down in the comment section before I say mine. My personal rating of Valorant, if it wasn't for the weird stuff with the radiant points, if it wasn't for some of the ways that they have been handling some of the gameplay designs and so on, I think that this could have been a really, really good game, but the lack of content and so on, which I do know is gonna come in later updates, but currently I'm struggling. I can't review something depending on future updates, and because of that, this game for me is an 8 out of 10. That comes from a person that really likes FPS games. I really think that games where I can mechanically play good is fun and entertainment, and I like the challenge that I'm being given here. If you are not an FPS player, this game is probably not for you, and I recommend you either try it out if you want to, but if not, stay clear of it and don't waste your time on it. I think the future of this game is very, very bright, so if you're interested in a free-to-play fun FPS, I recommend checking out Valorant, especially against it is free-to-play, and if you like it and you want to stick around, you can always then decide to invest into some cool skins due to the microtransaction, if that's something that you feel obliged to do. But that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, my name has been Jonal. Please stay careful, stay positive, and as always, keep the enemy in your crosshair.